And by Brian Bush, Top Crop Alliance, starting to get questions about when to spray fungicide and insecticide on the soybeans. So I want to take a little minute here, walk through staging soybeans, talk through our philosophy of when to spray the fungicide. I think everybody knows by now, R3 stage is the right time to be spraying your fungicide. But there's a few more nuances in that I think make a lot of details to making sure we're controlling the disease, number one, controlling the insects, and keeping these plants as healthy as we can all the way through the end of grain fill. So let's do some definitions. What is R3 in soybeans? Well, it is having a 3/16 of an inch pod on one of the top 4 nodes. So when you look at this plant, these leaves on this brand new trifoliate are no longer touching. Since they're not touching, we count this one. So this to be node 1, 2, 3, 4. So we come into this node right here and look close. Do we have a pod that's 3/16 of an inch long? Yes, that one right there would be 3/16 of an inch long. So this would be R3. So think about soybeans. We can go into R3 and back to R2 as we add, as this new trifoliate opens up, we might actually go back to an R2 stage. So it's not just about R3. So sometimes even at this stage, only a foot tall plants, we could be R3. So we also like to count nodes. So you go back down the bottom of the plant, right here. This is where the cotyledons were attached. That's node number 1. Then you have right here, leaves on both sides. That was our first true leaves, the unifoliate leaves. That's node 2. Then we're going to count up. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. This is the 15th node. So we typically target 15 nodes and R3. So this field that was planted late April actually would be about the right stage for applying fungicide and insecticide now. After checking this plant top to bottom, I'm not finding our primary disease causing agent being frog eye leaf spot, the disease we get most concerned about. I'm not seeing that on this plant anywhere. So now becomes the question, I don't have the disease. Do I spray now and protect what's here? Keep the disease from ever starting? Or should I wait a little bit? Well, there's 2 factors that go into that. Number 1, we have fungicides to do a great job of protecting soybeans to frog eye. But also this, I'm finding a lot more insect feeding. 80% of the energy that feeds these pods and flowers right here comes from this trifoliate. Do you think this trifoliate with all of its insect feeding still has enough energy to support 4, 5, 6 pods? I'd say probably not. So here's an example from a different field. You just have to trust me on this. I've counted. This plant is actually 14 nodes and R3. So at this time of year, we add a new trifoliate, being this new trifoliate in the top here opens up completely in about 2 to 3 days time. So even if you've got some beans that are planted a little bit later and you're only counting 10 nodes on the plant, pretty safe to say that within 10 days, 2 weeks, you'll probably be at 15 nodes. And then we just have to check and see if we have those pods that are 3/16 of an inch long or not. Big takeaway after scouting these soybeans is the beans aren't quite as tall as you would think, and yet there's still 15 nodes in R3 or 14 nodes on these 2. These are just barely 2 feet tall, yet this one's almost 35 inches tall. So you can't just look at the soybean height and determine if they're at the right stage of spray or not. We typically cap out in our part of the world, early planted beans, somewhere around 21, 22 total nodes. So there's still a lot more yet to come, especially right here. By spraying at 15, maybe 16 nodes and R3, we're protecting all these potential leaves as well. That's really our goal. Keep that plant as healthy as we can, as long as we can. Hope that helps.